Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. If you like this video, I hope you'll send the link to a few of your friends. Marriage is supposed to be forever. That's the symbolism of the wedding ring, a piece of precious metal with no end. But the reality is that some marriages just won't work. There can be what marriage law calls irreconcilable differences. Differences so great that separation is the only solution. The same thing happens with groups of people, nations. They can have irreconcilable differences, and so they break up. This is an interesting YouTube video that shows how the borders of Europe have changed every year since 400 BC. A lot of this, of course, is conquest. But look at more recent history from 1988 to 2012. This is a story of irreconcilable differences, of people who had lived under the same government but decided they were better off governing themselves. People as similar as the Czechs and the Slovaks, or the Latvians and the Lithuanians split up. They didn't hate each other, but they knew they would be happier apart. What about people who try to live together generation after generation, but still don't get along, and may even hate each other? The United States has certainly reached that point. There is more hostility, more disunity than at any time since the Civil War. The political hostility between right and left is vicious, but the real problem is race. The deepest hatred in this country is racial hatred. It infects every issue in politics: medicine, welfare, education, the judiciary, the budget. Race poisons every one of them. And the most open race hatred in America is the hatred of blacks for whites. Often the blacks who benefit most from American society seem to hate us the most. Ta-Nehisi Coates is one of the most influential and honored black authors in the country. And let me quote him. "I would like to tell you that a day approaches when white people renounce this demon religion of white supremacy and begin to think of themselves as human. But I can see no real promise of such a day." I didn't realize I was part of a demon religion. After countless scholarships, fellowships, and awards, Kizzmekia Corbett ended up with a plum job at NIH, where she became the non-white face of COVID vaccine research. She tweets as Kizzy, PhD. A black person wrote to her, "They hate us. This virus is a surefire way to get rid of us without having to lift a finger." They, of course, is white people. Kizzy replied, "Some have gone so far as to call it genocide. I plead the fifth." Someone tweeted to her about COVID patients. "People will be turned away or left to die because they are black." Kizzy replied, "Yep, both." Kizzy later took that one down, but this woman is at the highest levels of American scientific research. Black Americans overwhelmingly support Black Lives Matter, and on its own website, BLM says it is an ideological and political intervention in a world where black lives are systematically and intentionally targeted for demise. I wonder who they think is systematically killing black lives. Joy Reid is a hugely influential host and commentator on MSNBC. She insists that we confront the villainy and piracy involved in this country's founding. She went to Harvard, of course. Bree Newsom is a black activist with 500,000 followers. This is what she thinks of white people. The eagerness and urgency with which white people from across the globe leap forward to defend the racist murders of black and brown people by U.S. police says it all. She adds that some folks are gonna, not all white people, 1,000 times before they engage how whiteness itself is organized around anti-black racism. The problem is all white people. Aruna Kilanani is the psychiatrist who was invited in April to give a talk at the Yale School of Medicine's Department of Child Study. Here is what she said about trying to talk to white people about racism.
"This is the cost of talking to white people at all. The cost of your own life as they suck you dry. There are no good apples out there. White people make my blood boil. We are asking a demented, violent predator who thinks that they're a saint or a superhero to accept responsibility. It ain't gonna happen."
She also said, I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way. She talked about walking away with a bounce in my step, like I did the world a fucking favor. Her talk was called The Psychopathic Problem of the White Mind. The invitation from the Yale School of Medicine said its policy is to ensure balance, independence, objectivity, and scientific rigor in all its educational programs. Just last year, Random House published a book of Christian prayers that became a New York Times bestseller. It is sold as a collection of meditations for renewal. It includes a prayer by a black preacher that begins, Dear God, help me hate white people. The student body president of Christopher Newport University in Virginia, under the name of Fuck Off Honkies, tweets, I hate white people so much, it's not even funny. In an article called Whiteness is a Pandemic, a prominent black author wrote that white supremacy is a virus that, like other viruses, will not die until there are no bodies left for it to infect. What's the solution? Stanford government candidate says white people need to be eradicated. And it's not just blacks, of course. Saira Rao, who is Indian, ran for Congress in 2018. When she lost, she tweeted that she had given up on white people. She has now written a book for Penguin Random House that explains to white women how racist they are. She tweets, white people have done everything to make my life miserable, yet I'm supposed to not hate white people? The American flag makes me sick. Also, white people continue to murder black and brown people with impunity. What a completely vile country. Yeah, she wanted to be in Congress. And you will remember Sarah Jong, who was born in Korea, but was appointed to the editorial board of the New York Times despite choice tweets, of which New York Magazine gathered a few. White men are bullshit. Cancel white people. White people have stopped breeding. You'll all go extinct soon. That was my plan all along. Another one was dumbass fucking white people marking up the internet with their opinions like dogs pissing on fire hydrants. Some of you remember Jeremiah Wright, who was Barack and Mrs. Obama's pastor for many years. He officiated at their wedding and baptized their children. This is how he preached to his congregation.
God bless America. No, no, no. Not God bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God damn America.
Just last month, there was a Black Power rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a man shouted into a bullhorn, the time to kill everything white in sight will come soon. A crowd of several hundred cheered as Malik Z. Shabazz also said, once they die, we must understand that we can never give them the pain that they gave us. So we must bury them, dig them up, and kill them again. Last year, a black man named Corey Ali Muhammad got life in prison for shooting 4 white men because, as he said, he was fed up with racism. We're lucky he didn't get more. He told police he had wanted to kill as many white men as possible. You never heard about Corey Ali Muhammad? Just not a big deal, I guess. One of the truly hilarious ideas is that America's big problem is supposed to be white people hating black people. Puzzling, isn't it? Now, do all non-white people hate us? Of course not. But have you ever heard a black person say, I really like white people? Or even just, some of my best friends are white. From psychoanalysts to best-selling authors to preachers to gun-toting radicals, the message is clear. We are terrible people and always will be. But if we are demented predators who murder black and brown people with impunity and are a collective pandemic, why don't they leave? Why not back to Africa? I think I know why. When whites ran it, South Africa was the most developed country in black Africa. Now it can't keep the lights on. In the townships where many blacks live, people just hook up to the power lines and steal electricity. bad maintenance, and a complete inability to build new power plants mean most places in the country have power cuts of several hours every day. There are 26 countries in the world where the per capita GDP is less than $1,000 a year. 22 of them are in Black Africa, and the 23rd is Haiti. Not very enticing. So, black people, you benefit immensely from living with us whites. You need us badly. We don't need you. I'm calling your bluff. If all white institutions are full of systemic racism, leave them. There are already 107 historically black colleges and universities. Here they are, the 107. Train your own doctors, historians, politicians. If white police are killing blacks and browns with impunity, set up your own police. And why would you want to be anywhere near people you hate? American blacks spend $1.2 trillion a year. That's more than the entire GDP of Mexico. You have the resources to work, live, and go to school far away from horrible people like me. You could do it if you dared. But I suspect deep down, you and all the other non-whites who love to vent hatred and scorn for my race, my heritage, the society my ancestors built, you know you couldn't even come close. Look at where in the United States blacks and Hispanics are already the majority. If you were really on your own, it would be a lot worse than that, because even Detroit and Brownsville, Texas are still part of a nation that white people built. So keep telling us how much you hate us. Keep telling us we have to be eradicated. Do it every chance you get. Eventually, even the most long-suffering white people will realize that this is hopeless, and that if this were a marriage, it would have been over long ago. The sooner whites realize this, the sooner what you say is a nightmare and what we know is a nightmare will be over. Remember that animated map of Europe? Borders aren't permanent, even in the United States. If you're serious about how much you hate us, escape from us. Build your own communities. Build your own nations. And let us build ours. I dare you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this video channel. Also, I invite you to visit American Renaissance. That's at amren.com, AMREN.com. You find videos, podcasts, articles, discussions, a lot of things that I think will interest you. But again, thanks so much for watching.